All right, Bernard, the red light went on. First thing I like to do is I like to ask you, what's your 90-second pitch about who you are and what you do?
Oh boy. My 90-second pitch would be that I am a 31-year-old uh, from the island of Grand Bahama in the Bahamas. And I am the founder and CEO of Cayplex Entertainment. I'm also the president and digital director of Visionary Pro Digital. And that's my day job, what I also own. And so it's one of those things where I like to say that 90-second pitch. I I started off the business in Keyplex to meet a need in my local community in my city that hasn't had a movie theater for 6 years now, and a bowling alley for 15 years. And so this started off with our, Hurricane Dorian, one of the largest storms on record, which took out the last one. And so filling that need is a passion of mine. Going to the movies is a safe space for many years for myself and then so many people, and seeing that opportunity and following that vision to go ahead and execute it. And so that's been the path I've been on for the last 5 years. We're in the middle of construction right now. It's been a very, very arduous journey getting to that point. And so many people are seeing the vision, they're seeing it built out in real time. And this is something whereas they're excited about it, they're backing it and they're supporting it. Um, and yeah, just looking forward to what the future holds.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about maybe how the community is kind of coming around this. Like, what does that sort of look like in your space? Kind of walk us through a little bit around just like the community energy sort of around what you're doing.
I remember about a couple of months ago, about March, where we announced via national press release that we'd secured over $500,000 in government-backed funding for this project. And I also went into detail on various news outlets as to how long that process had been to get to that point.
Sure.
And that was a major signal for a lot of people in the community that they'd seen us do pop-up cinema events here and there just to kind of test the market and make sure that we proved the concept. And then when they saw we announced it, they sort of gone from thinking it may happen to, oh, it's happening now. And so that belief switch kind of came on for them. And so a lot of the support has been incredible. I cannot go to the grocery store. I cannot go to the gym. I can't go to church anywhere without someone stopping me and asking, hey, how are things going? How far along is it,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah, that's awesome. So talk a little bit about, you mentioned that, what Hurricane Dorian did. Just what else happened to maybe the local infrastructure, just around the whole area for people that don't know, or, again, news cycles are like this right now. So what just kind of happened in the space that you're seeing an opportunity to kind of jump in on and rebuild?
Let me close my office door real quick. These
Yeah,
guys
no
are doing
problem. Yeah.
construction.
Yeah, no problem.
Hopefully, it doesn't get picked up.
I'll chop, and then I've got some audio stuff that I'll pull out the back. So I don't know if you want to just take that question, so I have a cut, or I can ask the question again.
Yeah, I'd say ask it again.
Okay, so for our people that don't know or don't remember Hurricane Dorian very well, because we live in news cycles like we're all goldfish right now. Talk us a little bit about maybe the local infrastructure, what happened, what it looked like on the island, and how you guys are seeing an opportunity to kind of jump in, to what happened back in the day. So what did it all look like? What was the infrastructure like at that point?
Boys, September 1st, 2019, one of the largest hurricanes on record hit our island and also one of our neighboring islands, Abaco, as well. Let's just say there was I think about 20 to 30 feet of surge,
Wow.
in various places, covered most of the island. Hundreds of people died, kind of out to sea, etc.
Mm.
And in their homes, buildings completely gone, blown away, and so many things here that you can still see the remnants of some of it. For a lot of it,
Mm.
we've rebuilt and restored so many things and kind of moved on. But there you can still see the lingering effects of it, and also from a psychological perspective. I think particularly around the months of June to November, which is traditionally known as the hurricane season, there is now a difference in the community and in sort of that the mindset collectively of people who live here that we got to be on alert.
Yeah.
That's changed differently. Like I said, that was the largest. They would have probably considered that a category 6 if we had a scale for that, because they stop at category 5.
Right.
It sat on the island for 2 days, not moving. It just sat on the island for 2 days, and it rolled it and paused, and then it went. And so, imagine kind of living through that and the devastation it brought to businesses, the community, to people's lives. So many people had to, relocate and try to find their way after that. And that was something that's really a defining chapter, not just in my story, but also in the story for so many people who are, Grand Bahamians that live here. And we have, for the most part, moved on. And started to rebuild, and there's so much more investment and so much more opportunities that have come on to the island, to the city, and a lot of people are encouraged by the growth of it. And so that's one of the things that we're also doing, as well as being a part of that. That took our only movie theater back then, and so you kind of living in a space where since then everyone hasn't had that escape. They haven't had that community center to kind of go out and do it. And to some people, they may be desensitized to it, just because you can go to your AMC, you can go to your Regal, you can go to your Cinemark down the road, drive 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever. For some of us, that's a 30-minute flight if we have the means to do so. And then that's also accommodations and all the kind of things that come with it. And so when you think about movie theaters being a staple in almost every community around the world for over 100 years, and you have this vibrant community who has that ripped from the heart of it for over 60 years now. That's why one of the reasons I felt such a passion and a need to go ahead and bring that back.
Yeah. I was in St. Martin's this past summer, and I thought about you quite a bit because I was driving around the island, and they had a massive hurricane. Helena just wiped out that island, and just so those stories, I have the picture of there was still a boat in the sand from 3 years ago, and then we went with a family couple that goes there all the time, and they're like, there used to be restaurants all here. They're not like it's just overgrown. It's just gone. They were just wiped off. They also had a very similar thing. I think they had kind of a movie theater. Again, it was somewhat limping along, but so just to be in that environment, I was like, my gosh, this. I look at everything completely different, just knowing your story and your background. So the other thing that kind of came up, because we were talking to some people there, is just the challenges of actually just building on an island, just, the getting materials there. I got to assume you're also navigating those type of same waters, no pun intended on that, by the way. But that's what, I mean, are those your challenges? Where are you in sort of the phase of development, bringing product to the island? How does that work in your guys' world?
Well, we've been creative on how we've been able to secure construction materials for bringing things in. Our project has so many components to it, and so based on the capital that was required to do everything we needed to do, we had to divvy it up by what can be sourced locally, and making sure we make sure that particular amount of resources needed met a certain threshold. But for the most part, I consider myself a millennial founder in the sense of I'm going to find a way to do it that isn't the same way that's been done previously, but I'm also not going to try to disrupt so much that it makes the whole foundation sticky. So meaning we've had to procure materials from various countries, some things on island, of course, but various different countries who manufacture them and then give them to us at a better rate. Bring those in, because one of the concessions that we have here as business in this particular city, it's considered a free trade zone. And so we get to bring things in duty free, and that certainly helps with being able to kind of keep some of the costs down for things. But things like equipment, things like other like chairs and all this kind of stuff, very, very creative in how we've been able to secure and kind of bring some of those things. And so most of those things are have been ordered and most of them have been ordered, and the rest of them are kind of on the way,
Yeah.
that haven't already started to been pushed out and shipped. But for us, yeah, I kind of looked at it, and because I think I had this conversation with someone last year, and once upon a time, this project had various phases. It was like, oh, we need 4 million. Okay, no, we need 2 million. At one point, it was as high as 9 million, right?
Mhm.
Because we were looking into so many things. I just kind of scale it down to get what you can be able to secure at this time in terms of funding. And I was like, man, we need about $1.2 million. And this is a guy who's experienced. He runs a movie theater in the US. And he was like, son, you don't need $1 million to open a movie theater. And that, I'm so stubborn when I'm ready. And I had to wrestle with that thought and really stick to the numbers. And that's one of the things that my CFOs kind of had to hammer into my mindset is stick to the numbers and not your personal feelings.
Yeah.
Take your personal feelings out of it. And that's how you're able to make sure that you're, focusing on what can be done within the cap of what you can secure at the moment.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Well, it's interesting. So you mentioned too about being a millennial founder, I think is the term you use. How does that also maybe work into, thinking about sustainability practices, solar energy, business, and like thinking a little bit, again, outside the box, maybe talk a bit more about maybe how you're applying some of those thoughts to what you're building right now.
Yeah, even part of the raise that we were doing is to incorporate solar panels into a whole commercial solar system into the building itself, so that the entire project or the entire building is actually running off of a grid tied solar system fallback mechanism. Because I realize, boy, energy costs are really going high. And one of the benefits of being able to sit back for 5 years and see people run movie theaters and what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and just in the industry in general, you get hit the hardest with a lot of overhead. So we kind of sat back and said, where can we be able to make sure that we're doing things differently and smarter? And one of those areas was energy. So conserving energy by using solar panels, having a whole commercial grade solar system built into the facility to make sure we're offsetting a lot of that cost allows us to invest that into other areas, of the business. Being a millennial founder also means in phase 2 is something that we're going to get into in a couple of years once we open. Phase 2 is really built and conceptualized with Dorian in mind. It's that whole thing of us building a building on concrete columns, at least 10 foot high off the ground, something that can maybe even double as a hurricane shelter one day, but something that's also powered by, solar energy. So it becomes a green building as well, while also servicing the community and what we do. And these are the kind of things I'm thinking from a digital marketing perspective, from an AI perspective, and how you tie that into the operations of a movie theater today. Like, these are the things I'm always thinking about, particularly from my background in digital marketing and software development. So, yeah.
Yeah. So community involvement obviously is a huge, huge part of this. How did that sort of sway the concept of ownership, moving into thinking about crowdfunding, thinking about an equity raise, and how are you thinking about getting people to participate, not just in coming to the theater, but participating in the entire business model? How are you sort of navigating that in your mind and thinking about it?
We're having meetings about this every week. I had a meeting with one of our team members yesterday just on this, and we were talking about the whole process of schools, right, and how we're tackling getting schools involved. And those conversations have already been had with those schools in general as well. But for us, when we really kind of look at community engagement, the crowdfunding aspect of it was very important. At first, it was looking at it from the perspective of, if we can raise funds, this is where we kind of started out, maybe 2021, really sourcing that idea of crowdfunding. If we can raise enough capital in crowdfunding, then the bulk of the funding, if we can get 2 million here, the 7 million that we also needed to build the rest of the building will come easy, right? That'll prove the concept to the larger institutions that we need to get funding from. So that plan fell flat because of a number of reasons, such as the platform that we were going to use collapsed, and whatnot. But for the most part, being and involving the community for me is about giving opportunity, of course, to the general public beyond the waters of the Bahamas,
Right.
but also specifically, yes, for our Bahamians
Mm-hmm.
who we see and we're known for these large foreign direct investment projects, right? That come here, large
Mm-hmm.
resorts, large hotels, you name it, cruise ports, etc.
Mm-hmm.
The
Right.
problem is we don't have ownership in these investments for the most
Mm-hmm.
part. They
Right.
are, very privately run, private equity based, etc., institutionally based, things that come here. And for the most part, some people may have a job there, some people might be a vendor at it, whatever, but you don't own
Right.
shares in it. I,
Mm-hmm.
I come from this sort of generation, and I'm cut from this cloth where I see the democratization of how we do business differently moving
Yeah.
forward. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's a shared pride when you know that you can walk into the doors of a cinema in a bowling alley, and as you're bringing your wife and your kids in there, yeah, I own about 1,000 shares of this.
Right. Right.
This is
Yeah.
this is my space. They're also working on the next phase now and the next location. And yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
also got some shares in that as well. And there's something there, and there's a pride there, and that's when you can pass those things on to your kids and your
Yeah.
beneficiaries, for years to come. This isn't common, and I think that's a big inherent problem from a federal government perspective,
Mm-hmm.
whereas people sometimes call them IPOs, but we're talking about for the average retail investor,
Mm-hmm.
right? $100, you buy some shares in it, and
Right.
that means something.
Yeah.
That means something. That means now that's almost like a built-in sort of base of people that are going to come to the business, and also they're going to continue to spread the word and say, "Well, no, come to my theater."
Right. Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Not don't go to Keyplex, come to my theater, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got this going on, and they
Yeah.
also become champions of the business as well. But I
Yeah.
just have this strong belief in that. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Just democratizing the way how we do economics, the way how we do business now. I think crowdfunding plays a huge role in that, giving people, the average individual, ownership in their community. Yeah, that's big.
Yeah. How do you think of like competition in this business model? So again, if I thought of a movie theater popping up here, all right, there's two other movie theaters. There's other things to do. Whatever it is. In your world, do you think of it like, no, we're just adding to this, and there is no real competition, or is it the cruise ships, the entertain, all the stuff you just kind of mentioned, like that comes to the island? How do you sort of think about it, or do is it competition, or is it really just, nope, we are another thing, we're more local, maybe for the people that live here, it's not the person getting off the cruise ship and just hanging out? Just how do you think about it in general?
Yeah, our base isn't even anything to do with tourism. So
Yeah.
when those things happen, I mean, it's beneficial, but for us, it's for locals, right?
Right.
It's for people who live here on the island. It's for the 47,000 plus people that live within the city to be
Yeah.
able to have access to these recreations again.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we're looking at it. Competition, I think when it's done well, is a good thing. And I
Yeah.
also think that economies of scale need them in order to survive.
Yeah.
That's something that we've always built into our business model. When we put together our business plan, our financial projections, we've always been super conservative with those numbers. So that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
means that if you had one day an AMC pop up, or some other competitor popped up and said they wanted to do the same thing, well, come behind us and do the same thing, I guess, because
Yeah.
after we kind of proved the concept, um, we don't hurt, because we've already set our expectation to say, look, we're looking at this at a conservative pace, we're looking at this at an optimistic pace. Either way, we do well.
Yeah.
And so that's always been the thing, I think, has always kind of stood out. So competition, I think once it's done in the right way, I think once it happens in a way where it makes sense, it's good for economies of scale. And so,
Yeah.
but for us, we run our own race. We're conscious to the heartbeat of the community here. There's something about being a Grand Bahamian
Mm-hmm.
and building something as a Grand Bahamian for Grand Bahamians. I think there's a pride there that people that live here appreciate. And of
Yeah.
course, once we expand and we go into other territories as part of our expansion plan. That's something we'll also have to navigate. What does competition look like in other islands? What does competition look like in other
Hmm.
countries where we go
Right.
into? We don't want to just pop up and just be another thing, right?
Yeah.
And as
Hmm.
another theater, what is our unique value proposition that we bring to it? And I think that has to do a lot with how Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Yeah.
That is the philosophy that I have baked into this business. That is the philosophy that I pass on to my team. And I'm constantly driving and drilling into the heads of everyone around me. The difference that we're going to make from a competitive edge is not if we sell buttery popcorn, is not if we sell chili dogs versus regular hot dogs. It's how the person who walks through the door, how we make them feel.
Yeah.
And
It's,
that's
it's,
been my
it's
thing.
yeah, it's really interesting. So we're pretty unique here in Farmington. I don't know if you know this or not, but so I live downtown Farmington, outside of Detroit, Michigan here, and we have a 100-year-old theater downtown. Right,
Wow.
it's by the breweries. It's got the marquee, and when you go to that movie theater, it's all about sitting in a 100-year-old theater. About 2 miles down the road, you have the state of the art Regal Cinema. Just you can get beer and you can, spend $30 on chicken tenders, right? And it's interesting how much you find that the downtown one provides free popcorn for our high school football games. They are a part of our community. And then the one over here is just come and get your, $20 ticket and get the chicken tenders. And yes, it is an experience, and the chairs can flip you around and massage you and all of the stuff. But but in our world, if I could just walk downtown, which we can, and just go over there and watch a similar movie, still has a good surround sound, and but it's different. And I think that's really when I hear you talk, that's what I'm thinking is like
Yeah.
you're building the 100-year-old theater that will be here for hundreds of, that is more of a community than, yes, there is a movie theater with a fancy seat and, it's there, but it doesn't feel quite the same. You know what I
We're
mean?
building, yeah, we're building the thing that cares. We're
Yeah,
building
I
the
get it.
thing
Yeah.
that supports the community, the thing that
Hmm.
uplifts the community, that
Yeah.
doesn't just take from the community.
Right. Yeah, we're the one
That's
that
the benefit.
we have a film festival, right? We do the film festival. It's because it's about the art, and yeah, they give us a weekend, and the other one sometimes does,
Yeah,
but you have to play
see,
by ball there.
you have one that's just a chain or a copy
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
comes in, plants itself. Then you
Yeah.
have the other one that comes out of the community.
Yeah.
One of those things people are going to feel a little bit more connected
Yeah.
to. The other
100%.
one is just going to be like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, it's
Yeah,
there, it's cool.
and
Yeah,
if it disappeared, I would go to
meh.
the other one that's about 10 miles over, 20 miles over here, and
Correct.
that's fine too. So kind of wrapping this up, like where are we right now with fundraising? Kind of what are the big sort of KPIs you're looking at right now? How can people jump in and help? Just what does it look like right now for you if somebody wants to learn more?
There's so much enthusiasm behind the raise. I'm having conversations on a regular basis with people who are interested in investing, who are moving to invest. And I think recently we passed the $100,000 mark
Mhm.
on our raise. We were only shooting to raise about $250,000-$300,000 in there. And so I think we're a little over 40 something percent
Mhm.
of the way on that. So that's definitely encouraging for a lot of people. I think we sent that update out to our community. I heard from some of the investors individually, and so they were very excited to see that. But then when we posted our first construction update out there, and we kind of showed the pictures and we showed the
Mhm.
videos and the clips of things happening, I think that's what people felt a lot more connected to. So we put that
Sure.
on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and we started to see people really start to show some love, but also show some love with their money.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's what it is. I think we live in a time where right now people have to really see it to believe it.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
so that takes people from skepticism to belief. And when they're able to see that, and us turning it and branding it a whole series that's called The Road to Keyplex. So
Mhm.
now people are going to be a part of this journey where they'll be able to, in clips, they'll
Yeah.
just be able to see it built along, follow it in real time.
Mhm.
And what that does is that connects you again to the heart of the mission of what's happening. It's like, oh, wow, this isn't just another XYZ. This
Yeah.
is something that has heart and soul into it, that you can actually see behind the scenes of it being built out, and you have a greater appreciation for it as a potential investment offering or something in your portfolio. I think that makes all the difference. We're living right now in a time where people need to be able to have a deeper sense of connection to the content that they engage with and the
Hmm.
businesses that they support.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes a difference. I'm super excited about what's happening behind the scenes. It's not all great and woo, champagne
Yeah.
popping.
Yeah.
There are some days,
Yeah.
but for the most part, we're totally excited about what we're seeing and encouraged to keep on going.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Obviously, I shared quite a bit on my world of just things that you pop into my brain when I'm working around in my life. So I love following it from my end. I think what you guys are doing is great. And if anybody's interested, I'll have all the links and everything to click on if you want to learn more and dive in. I'll have that in the show notes here. But I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you're busy, and this is really cool stuff. And I love watching what you're building behind the scenes here. It's totally awesome. It's great
Thank
stuff.
you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
All right.